What if I told you that the extinction of dinosaurs 66 million years ago wasn't the end of giants on Earth, but actually the beginning of an even more bizarre and fascinating chapter? Here's what will blow your mind: the creatures that emerged. After the dinosaurs were so alien, so impossibly massive, and so unlike anything alive today that they make T-Rex look like a house cat. Picture this: armadillos the size of cars, ground sloths as tall as giraffes, and birds so massive they could swallow a human whole. But here's the twist that changes everything. These weren't random evolutionary experiments. They were Earth's response to the most dramatic climate roller coaster our planet has ever experienced. For the next 160 minutes, we're going to shatter everything you think you know about life after dinosaurs. We'll discover how ice ages created evolutionary pressure cookers that forged creatures beyond imagination, how tiny climate shifts triggered mass extinctions that make the dinosaur extinction look minor, and most mind-blowing of all, how these ancient climate patterns are still shaping your life today in ways you've never imagined. By the end of this journey, you'll realize that you're not just learning about ancient history. You're discovering the hidden blueprint that explains why you exist, why you look the way you do, and why the next chapter of Earth's story might be the most incredible yet. Let's start with a revelation that will reframe everything. When the asteroid hit Earth 66 million years ago, it didn't just kill dinosaurs. It created the ultimate evolutionary laboratory. Think of it like this. Imagine if you suddenly removed every large predator and herbivore from Africa today. What would happen to all the small mammals, birds, and reptiles? They'd explode into every empty niche, evolving at breakneck speed to fill the gaps. That's exactly what happened after the dinosaurs vanished. But here's the twist scientists are still grappling with. The speed of evolution wasn't gradual. It was explosive. Within just a few million years, a blink of an eye in geological terms, mammals went from tiny shrew-like creatures hiding from dinosaurs to massive predators ruling the Earth. But here's where it gets mind-bending. This wasn't random. The climate was the puppet master pulling all the strings. As Earth cooled from the asteroid impact, it set in motion a climate pattern that would dominate the next 66 million years. The Ice Age cycles. Now, when most people hear ice age, they think of one big freeze. That's wrong. What if I told you that for the last 2.6 million years alone, there have been at least 50 major ice ages, each one reshaping life on Earth? We're not talking about gradual changes over millions of years. We're talking about dramatic climate shifts that could happen within a human lifetime. Here's what will blow your mind. We're living in an ice age right now. The Quaternary Ice Age started 2.6 million years ago and never ended. What we call normal climate is actually just a brief warm period between glacial advances. Those warm periods? They typically last 10,000 to 15,000 years. Our current warm period started 11,700 years ago. Do the math. But here's the revelation that changes everything about how you see evolution. These rapid climate changes didn't just affect where animals lived. They turbocharged evolution itself. When climate shifts rapidly, only the most adaptable survive, and adaptation happens fast. This created evolutionary pressure cookers that forged some of the most incredible creatures ever to walk the Earth. The stage is set. The asteroid has fallen. The climate roller coaster is beginning. Now let's meet the impossible creatures that emerged from this chaos. Here's what will blow your mind about the creatures that emerged after the dinosaurs. They didn't just get bigger. They got weird in ways that seemed to defy the laws of nature. Let me introduce you to some evolutionary experiments that will shatter your understanding of what's possible. Meet Androsarchus. Discovered by paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews in 1923. This creature looked like someone took a wolf, scaled it up to the size of a rhino, and gave it jaws that could crush bone like we crack nuts. At 12 feet long and weighing over 1,000 pounds, it was the largest terrestrial carnivorous mammal ever discovered. But here's the mind-bending part. Its skull alone was nearly 3 feet long, filled with teeth designed to crush through anything. But Andrewsarchus was just the beginning. What if I told you that some mammals got so large they make modern elephants look small? Enter the Indricotherium, also known as Paraceratherium. Picture this, a rhinoceros without the horn, but standing, 18 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing as much as 4 African elephants. These giants roamed Asia 25 million years ago, browsing treetops like modern giraffes browse bush. Here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. These giants weren't random evolutionary experiments. They were climate responses. As Earth cooled after, the dinosaurs, vast grasslands replaced tropical forests. Larger bodies were more efficient at processing the tough, fibrous plants that dominated these new landscapes. Think of it like this. If you're trying to extract nutrition from cardboard, you need a bigger digestive system. Bigger digestive system means bigger body. But the climate wasn't just making animals bigger, it was making them weirder. Enter the Untotherium, a creature so bizarre, it looks like it was designed by committee. Imagine a rhino-sized animal with 6 horns on its head and saber teeth like a saber-toothed cat. But it was a plant eater. These creatures dominated North America for millions of years, but then vanished completely. Why? Here's the revelation. That changes everything. These giant mammals weren't just random evolutionary success stories. They were Earth's first attempt at solving the problem of how to be big in a cooling world. But being big comes with costs. Larger animals need more food, more space, and more stable climates. As Earth's climate became more unstable, these giants faced a choice: adapt or die. Most died. But here's the twist that will hook you for the next section. Some didn't just adapt. They evolved strategies so bizarre, so counterintuitive, that they rewrote the rules of survival. They discovered that in an unstable world, being too specialized could be fatal. The survivors learned to be generalists, but not in the way you'd expect. What if I told you that the secret to surviving climate chaos wasn't being the biggest or strongest, but being the weirdest? The creatures we're about to meet next prove that truth is stranger than any fiction dot. What if I told you that the most terrifying predators in Earth's history lived not during the age of dinosaurs, but during the age of mammals? Here's what will blow your mind. After the dinosaurs vanished, mammals didn't just become herbivores filling empty niches. Some became killing machines that would make a T-Rex think twice. Let me introduce you to a predator so terrifying that scientists initially refused to believe it existed. When paleontologist Blair von Valkenburg first studied the fossils of Andrewsarchus in detail in the 1990s, she discovered something that challenged everything we thought we knew about mammalian predators. The bite force calculations were impossible until she realized that mammals had evolved an entirely different approach to being apex predators. Unlike dinosaur predators that relied on massive size and bone-crushing bites, mammalian predators evolved intelligence, pack hunting, and precision killing. But some took this to extremes that seemed pulled from nightmares. Enter the hyenodon, a creature that dominated predator niches for over 20 million years. Think of it like this. Imagine if a hyena had the intelligence of a wolf, the size of a bear, and jaws designed specifically for slicing through bone and sinew. These weren't just scavengers. They were sophisticated hunters that could take down prey several times, their size through coordinated attacks. But here's where it gets mind-bending. Hyenodon came in multiple sizes, from dog-sized species to giants weighing over 1,000 pounds. It's as if evolution created a complete predator ecosystem within a single genus. The larger species hunted the giant herbivores, while smaller species filled every other carnivorous niche. This wasn't random. This was evolution's response to abundance. Here's the revelation that changes everything about how you see predator. Evolution. The post-dinosaur world wasn't just about getting bigger. It was about getting smarter. For the first time in Earth's history, predators were mammals with large brains, complex social structures, and the ability to adapt hunting strategies based on prey behavior. But mammals weren't the only ones evolving terrifying predators. What if I told you that birds, freed from dinosaur competition, evolved into killing machines that make modern raptors look gentle? Meet the terror birds, or Foresteracidae, discovered by paleontologist Florentino Ameghino in Argentina in the 1880s. Picture this: flightless birds standing 10 feet tall with massive hooked beaks designed for dismembering prey. The largest species, Coelacanth guillermoi, had a skull over 2 feet long filled with razor-sharp edges. These weren't just big birds. They were evolutionary experiments in terrestrial bird predation that dominated South America for millions of years. Here's what will blow your mind about terror birds. They weren't just successful predators. They were ecosystem engineers. Their hunting pressure shaped the evolution of every other animal in their environment. Herbivores evolved new defensive strategies, armor, and behaviors specifically to avoid these feathered nightmares. But here's the twist that leads us to our next revelation. Neither the giant mammalian predators nor the terror birds survived the climate changes that were coming. The same climate instability that created these evolutionary experiments would eventually destroy them. Why? Because being a specialized super predator works great when ecosystems are stable. But when climate chaos hits, being at the top of the food chain isn't an advantage. It's a death sentence. The creatures that survived weren't the biggest or strongest predators. They were the adaptable ones. And what they evolved into next will challenge everything you think you know about intelligence, tool use, and what it means to be advanced. The survivors discovered something profound. In a chaotic world, brains beat brawn every time. Here's what will blow your mind about the Ice Age. It wasn't just a period of cold weather that killed off some animals. It was the greatest evolutionary accelerator in Earth's history, creating creatures so perfectly adapted to extreme environments that they rewrote the book on what's possible in biology. What if I told you that the Ice Age created animals that were essentially living machines, creatures so precisely engineered for survival in impossible conditions that modern technology still can't replicate their adaptations? Let me introduce you to the true architects of survival. Meet the woolly mammoth, but forget everything you think you know about these creatures. Recent genetic studies by evolutionary biologist Hendrik Poyner revealed something mind-bending. Woolly mammoths weren't just elephants with fur. They were biochemical marvels with antifreeze proteins in their blood, specialized fat distribution that created internal heating systems, and trunked adaptations that could detect food buried under 6 feet of snow. Think of it like this. Imagine if you had to design the perfect machine for surviving in minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit weather while finding food buried in ice and snow. You'd create internal heating, insulation systems, specialized sensors, and efficient energy storage. That's exactly what evolution created in the woolly mammoth. But it did it using biology instead of technology. But here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. Woolly mammoths weren't just adapted for Ice Age survival. They were ecosystem engineers that created the very environment they needed to survive. Their trampling and grazing maintained the mammoth steppe, a unique grassland ecosystem that covered millions of square miles and actually helped maintain cold temperatures by reflecting sunlight. Here's the revelation that changes everything. These Ice Age giants weren't just surviving the climate, they were controlling it. Soviet ecologist Sergei Zimov discovered this in the 1990s when he found that areas heavily grazed by large, Herbivores stayed significantly colder than ungrazed areas. The mammoths were literally maintaining their own ice age. But mammoths weren't alone in their mastery of ice age survival. Enter the cave bear, Ursus spelaeus, a creature that took hibernation to levels that seem impossible. These bears didn't just sleep through winter. They essentially shut down their metabolism so completely that they could survive 6 months without food, water, or even urination. Recent studies by paleontologist Michi Germain-Pré revealed that their bone chemistry actually changed during hibernation, recycling calcium and phosphorus in ways that kept their skeletons strong despite months of inactivity. What if I told you that cave bears had solved biological problems that modern medicine still struggles with? Their hibernation process prevented muscle atrophy, bone loss, and organ damage, issues that plague human astronauts after just months in space. Evolution had created the perfect biological spaceship for surviving Earth's climate extremes. But here's the twist that will hook you for our next section. These perfectly adapted Ice Age creatures had one fatal flaw. They were so specialized for Ice Age conditions that when the climate stabilized, they couldn't adapt. The same specialization that made them masters of the Ice Age became their death sentence. The survivors of the Ice Age weren't the most specialized, they were the most flexible. And among these survivors, one group discovered something that would change the course of evolution forever. They learned to use tools, modify their environment, and pass knowledge between generations. They didn't just adapt to climate change. They learned to control it. The stage is set for the most important evolutionary transition in Earth's history. What happens when intelligence meets Ice Age survival pressure? The answer will blow your mind and explain why you exist. What if I told you that the extinction of dinosaurs wasn't even close to being the deadliest mass extinction in Earth's history? Here's what will blow your mind. Since life after dinosaurs began, there have been multiple extinction events so devastating they make the famous KPG extinction look like a minor setback. And here's the terrifying part. We're living through one right now. Let me introduce you to extinction events that most people have never heard of, but that shaped the modern world more than any asteroid impact. The Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, studied extensively by climate scientist Lee Kump, occurred 56 million years ago and represents one of the most rapid climate changes in Earth's history. Picture this. In less than 20,000 years, a geological instant, global temperatures rose by Y-14 degrees Fahrenheit. This might not sound dramatic until you realize what it means. Think of it like this. If global temperatures today rose by just 2 degrees Fahrenheit, it would trigger massive flooding, agricultural collapse, and ecosystem breakdown. The pattern was 7 times worse. Here's what will blow your mind about this event. It wasn't caused by an asteroid or volcanic eruption. It was caused by massive carbon release from methane hydrates in the ocean floor. Essentially, Earth burped gigatons of greenhouse gas into the atmosphere in a geological instant. Sound familiar? Modern climate scientists are terrified by this. Comparison because we're releasing carbon at rates approaching PETM levels. But here's the mind-bending part. Life didn't just survive the PETM. It exploded into new forms. This extinction event was actually an evolutionary accelerator that gave birth to most modern mammal groups. The extreme climate forced rapid evolution, creating the ancestors of horses, primates, whales, and countless other lineages. However, not all post-dinosaur extinctions were evolutionary springboards. The Grande Coupure, discovered by French paleontologist Charles Depret, was a different kind of catastrophe entirely. About 34 million years ago, something killed off virtually all large mammals in Europe within a few 100,000 years. What? If I told you that this wasn't a climate disaster, but a biological invasion? As Asia and Europe became connected by land bridges, Asian mammals swept into Europe and outcompeted every native species. It was like an ecological blitzkrieg. European mammals that had evolved in isolation for millions of years suddenly faced competitors they had no defense against. Here's the revelation that changes everything about how you see extinction. It's not always about climate or asteroids. Sometimes it's about connectivity. When isolated ecosystems suddenly connect, the results can be more devastating than any natural disaster. This pattern would repeat throughout history, and it's happening again today as humans connect. Previously isolated ecosystems through global travel and trade, but the most mind-blowing extinction event in the post-dinosaur era happened much more recently, and it directly shaped the world you live in today. The Quaternary extinction event, still ongoing, began about 50,000 years ago and coincides perfectly with the spread of modern humans around the globe. Here's what will blow your mind. Wherever humans arrived, massive animals vanished within a few thousand years. Australia lost its giant kangaroos, massive wombats, and predatory lizards. North America lost its horses, camels, giant ground sloths, and saber-toothed cats. South America lost its giant armadillos and terror birds. Anthropologist Paul Martin called this the overkill hypothesis. But recent research by paleontologist Anthony Barnowski has revealed something more complex and terrifying. It wasn't just hunting that caused these extinctions. It was ecosystem disruption on a scale Earth had never experienced. Think of it like this. Imagine if aliens landed on Earth, and within a few thousand years, every large animal vanished. Forests were replaced by farmland, and the climate itself began changing. That's what happened when humans developed agriculture, tool use, and fire management. We became Earth's first species capable of planetary-scale ecosystem modification. Here's the twist that leads to our next revelation. These extinction events weren't random disasters. They were evolutionary tests. Each one sorted species into survivors and casualties based on specific traits. And the traits that determine survival are still operating today, shaping which species thrive in our modern world, and which ones vanish. The survivors of all these extinction events share something profound in common, something that explains not just which animals survived, but why humans became the dominant species on Earth. The secret isn't size, strength, or specialization. It's something much more subtle and powerful. Here's what will blow your mind about the greatest evolutionary secret of the post-dinosaur era. The species that survived every extinction event, every climate change, and every ecological catastrophe all share one trait that seems almost too simple to be true. They were all ecological generalists with big brains. What if I told you that this pattern is so consistent, it's essentially a law of nature? When paleontologist David Jablonski analyzed survival patterns across multiple extinction events, he discovered something that revolutionized our understanding of evolution. The survivors weren't the biggest, strongest, or most specialized creatures. They were the most behaviorally flexible. Let me show you how this law plays out in the most dramatic way possible. Meet the brown rat, Rattus norvegicus, one of the most successful mammals in post-dinosaur history. This creature has survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, floods, droughts, and the rise of human civilization. How? By being the ultimate evolutionary opportunist. Think of it like this. While other rodents specialized in specific foods, habitats, or behaviors, brown rats became generalist Swiss Army knives. They can eat literally anything organic, live anywhere. From sewers to penthouse apartments, swim, climb, dig, and solve complex problems. They even show rudimentary culture. Rat populations in different cities have developed distinct behavioral traditions passed down through generations. But here's where it gets mind-bending. Brown rats aren't just successful survivors. They're ecosystem engineers that create opportunities for other species. Their waste fertilizes soil, their tunnels provide shelter for smaller animals, and their seed dispersal helps plants colonize new areas. The same flexibility that helps them survive also makes them environmental catalysts. Here, single quotes S, the revelation that changes everything. This isn't just about rats. This pattern explains why crows are found on every continent except Antarctica, why cockroaches have survived for 300 million years, and why octopi are taking over ocean ecosystems. They're all intelligent generalists. But the most mind-blowing example of this principle in action is a creature that emerged from the post-dinosaur chaos and became the most adaptable predator Earth has ever seen. Meet the early ancestors of modern wolves, studied by paleontologist Jennifer Leonard. These creatures discovered something revolutionary. Pack intelligence multiplied individual intelligence exponentially. Picture this. Instead of evolving bigger teeth or stronger muscles, these early canids evolved cooperation. A pack of wolves can take down prey 10 times larger than any individual could handle, solve complex problems through group coordination, and adapt their hunting strategies in real time based on prey behavior. What if I told you that wolf packs were Earth's first example of collective intelligence, a distributed problem-solving system that's more powerful than any individual brain? Modern research by behavioral ecologist L. David Meck has shown that wolf packs make decisions through a form of democratic consensus, with different individuals specializing in different cognitive tasks. Here's what will blow your mind. This collective intelligence system was so successful that it's been independently evolved by numerous species. Orcas hunt in coordinated pods with specialized roles. African wild dogs use complex communication to coordinate pack hunts. And even some bird species use collective problem-solving to find food and avoid predators. But here's the twist that leads to our next revelation. There's one species that took this collective intelligence concept and weaponized it beyond anything evolution had ever created. This species didn't just develop pack hunting. They developed cumulative culture, where knowledge builds across generations instead of being lost when individuals die. They learned to use tools, control fire, modify ecosystems, and most importantly, they developed language sophisticated enough to share complex, abstract concepts. Within a few million years of developing these capabilities, they had spread across the entire planet and were reshaping ecosystems on a global scale. Here's the mind-bending part. This wasn't gradual evolution over millions of years. This was explosive development that happened in geological instants. The same climate instability that created the post-dinosaur world provided the perfect pressure cooker for the evolution of human intelligence. The survivor's secret isn't just about surviving. It's about thriving through change itself. And the ultimate expression of this principle is walking around reading this script right now. You are the culmination of 66 million years of evolutionary pressure toward flexibility, intelligence, and adaptability. What if I told you that humans aren't just another species that got lucky in the evolutionary lottery? Here's what will blow your mind. We are Earth's first species capable of conscious climate control, and we've been doing it for far longer than most people realize. The post-dinosaur era wasn't just preparing Earth for human dominance. It was an evolutionary boot camp that created us as Earth's climate management system. Let me introduce you to a revelation that will change how you see human history forever. When anthropologist Curtis Marine studied early human sites in South Africa, he discovered that humans were systematically modifying local climates through controlled burning over 160,000 years ago. This wasn't accidental. It was sophisticated. Ecosystem engineering. Think of it like this. Imagine if you discovered that ancient humans weren't just surviving in their environment, but actively terraforming it, like science fiction colonists on an alien planet. That's exactly what was happening. Through controlled fires, humans created grasslands that supported large game animals, eliminated disease-carrying insects, and even influenced local rainfall patterns. But here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. This climate manipulation wasn't limited to local effects. When climatologist William Rudiman analyzed ice core data, he found evidence that humans began influencing global climate patterns over 8,000 years ago, thousands of years before the Industrial Revolution. Here's the revelation that changes everything. The development of agriculture wasn't just about growing food. It was about taking conscious control of carbon and methane cycles. Rice farming increased atmospheric methane. Forest clearing for agriculture increased CO2 and large-scale irrigation. Projects changed regional water cycles. Humans had become a geological force comparable to volcanic activity or asteroid impacts. What if I told you that this wasn't an accident, but the inevitable result of 66 million years of evolutionary pressure? The same climate instability that created the post-dinosaur world selected for brains capable of predicting and responding to environmental change. We didn't just evolve intelligence, we evolved climate intelligence. But here's the mind-bending part: modern research by systems. Ecologist Oral Ellis has revealed that humans have been consciously managing ecosystems for sustainability for thousands of years. Indigenous peoples around the world developed sophisticated systems for maintaining ecological balance, systems so effective that many ecosystems Europeans thought were pristine wilderness were actually carefully managed gardens. The Amazon rainforest contains millions of trees planted by indigenous peoples over thousands of years. Aboriginal Australians used controlled burning to maintain ecosystems for 65,000 years. Native Americans managed vast areas of North America through controlled fires, selective harvesting, and even domestication of wild animals that created park-like landscapes. Here's what will blow your mind. These weren't primitive peoples randomly burning forests. These were sophisticated ecological engineers with detailed knowledge of soil chemistry, plant succession, animal behavior, and climate patterns. They were applying the same principles modern ecologists are just beginning to understand. But here's the twist that makes this personal. You are the product of this evolutionary pressure toward environmental management. Your brain is literally shaped by 66 million years of climate chaos that selected for intelligence, cooperation, and environmental awareness. Every time you check a weather forecast, plan for seasonal changes, or even adjust your home's temperature, you're expressing genetic programming that traces back to the post-dinosaur world. Think of it like this. Your ancestors didn't just survive ice ages, they learned to predict them, prepare for them, and eventually control local climates to buffer against them. You carry the genetic inheritance of the most environmentally aware species Earth has ever produced. Here's the revelation that leads to our next section. This environmental intelligence isn't just about controlling nature. It's about understanding our place in natural systems. The post-dinosaur era taught us that survival isn't about dominating the environment, but about understanding and working with natural cycles, the climate control abilities that helped our species survive the chaos. After dinosaurs are the same abilities we need to navigate the challenges we face today. But here's what will blow your mind. The current climate crisis isn't a sign that humans are bad at environmental management. It's a sign that we've grown beyond local environmental management and are now learning to manage planetary systems. We're not destroying the Earth. We're growing into our role as Earth's conscious climate management system. And understanding this transition requires looking at how the post-dinosaur world prepared us for exactly this moment in history. Here's what will blow your mind about evolution in the post-dinosaur world. Life didn't just randomly experiment with new forms. It kept rediscovering the same solutions to survival problems over and over again, creating creatures so similar they look like nature was copying from a template. What if I told you that evolution is so predictable that if we could rewind Earth's history and play it again, we'd get essentially the same results? This isn't science fiction. It's convergent evolution, and the post-dinosaur era provides the most spectacular examples in natural history. Let me introduce you to one of the most mind-bending discoveries in paleontology. When Simon Conway Morris studied the evolution of saber-toothed predators, he found something impossible. Saber teeth evolved independently at least 5 different times in mammals alone. We had saber-toothed cats, saber-toothed marsupials, saber-toothed creodonts, and even saber-toothed nimravids. Think of it like this. Imagine if 5 different engineering teams, working independently and never communicating, all invented identical solutions to the same problem. That's what happened with saber teeth. The solution was so optimal for killing large, thick-skinned herbivores that evolution discovered it again and again. But here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. The convergence goes far deeper than just teeth. These saber-toothed predators independently evolved similar body proportions, hunting strategies, and even bone chemistry. It's as if there's a perfect mathematical solution for being a large mammalian predator, and evolution keeps finding it. Here's the revelation that changes everything about how you see evolution. It's not random. They're optimal solutions to survival problems, and given enough time and pressure, evolution will find them repeatedly. This principle explains why the post-dinosaur world produced such similar creatures on different continents. Take the evolution of large herbivores. In North America, we had giant ground sloths. In South America, we had different giant ground sloths that evolved completely independently. In Australia, we had giant wombats. In Africa, we had various giant ungulates. All of these creatures independently evolved similar solutions. Large size for defense, specialized grinding teeth for processing tough plant material, and slow metabolisms for efficiency. What if I told you that this convergence extends to intelligence itself? Evolutionary biologist Louis Lefebvre discovered that brain size relative to body size has evolved independently in multiple mammalian lineages, always in response to environmental unpredictability. Primates, elephants, cetaceans, and corvids all independently discovered that big brains are the ultimate survival tool. But here's what will blow your mind. The convergence isn't just about anatomy, it's about behavior. Elephants, dolphins, and some primates all independently evolved self-recognition, complex social structures, use of tools, and even teaching of skills to offspring. These behaviors are so similar that researchers often use the same protocols to study intelligence across these completely unrelated species. Here's the mind-bending part. This convergence suggests that intelligence isn't a fluke. It's an inevitable outcome of evolutionary pressure. Given enough environmental chaos and enough time, evolution will always produce intelligent, adaptable species. We're not unique, we're predictable. But here's the twist that makes this personal. If intelligence is inevitable, then what we're experiencing right now, the emergence of technological civilization, space exploration, and planetary-scale environmental management, isn't random either. It's the next predictable step in evolutionary convergence. Think of it like this. Just as saber teeth represent the optimal solution for being a large mammalian predator, technological civilization might represent the optimal solution for being an intelligent species on a planet with finite resources and unstable climate. Here's what will blow your mind. We might not be the first technological civilization on Earth. Recent research by astrophysicist Gavin Schmidt suggests that if a previous industrial civilization had existed and collapsed millions of years ago, we might not be able to detect it in the geological record. The post-dinosaur era spans 66 million years. Plenty of time for multiple technological civilizations to rise and fall. But whether we're the first or not, the principle of convergent evolution suggests that technological civilization is inevitable. The same environmental pressures that shaped the post-dinosaur world are still operating today, and they're pushing us toward becoming a spacefaring, multiplanetary species. The convergent evolution phenomenon reveals something profound. We're not accidents of evolution. We're the inevitable result of 66 million years of environmental pressure toward intelligence, adaptability, and environmental control. And that realization leads us to perhaps the most mind-blowing revelation of all. What comes next? Here's what will blow your mind. Everything I've told you about ice ages and post-dinosaur evolution isn't ancient history. We are living through the most recent chapter of this story right now, and the same evolutionary pressures that created the incredible creatures of the past are shaping life on Earth today, including us. What if I told you that the current interglacial period we live in, which started 11,700 years ago, has already lasted longer than most previous warm periods? According to ice core research by climatologist Richard Alley, we should technically be entering another glacial period within the next few thousand years. But here's the twist. Human activity has disrupted this natural cycle in ways that are rewriting the rules of planetary climate. Let me introduce you to a revelation that will change how you see modern environmental issues. When atmospheric scientist Paul Crutzen proposed the concept of the Anthropocene, the human age, he wasn't just talking about pollution or habitat destruction. He was recognizing that humans have become a geological force equivalent to the ice age cycles themselves. Think of it like this. For 66 million years, ice age cycles were Earth's primary driver of evolution. Every 100,000 years or so, massive climate swings would reshuffle life on Earth, creating new evolutionary pressures and opportunities. Now, humans are creating equivalent environmental changes within decades instead of millennia. Here's what will blow your mind about this acceleration. We're not just witnessing rapid environmental change, we're witnessing rapid evolution in real time. Urban environments are creating evolutionary pressure cookers, just like the ice ages did. And species are evolving at speeds that would have seemed impossible just decades ago. Urban coyotes are evolving different jaw structures to eat garbage and pet food. City birds are evolving different song frequencies to communicate over traffic noise. Urban plants are evolving different flowering times to match city heat islands. Mosquitoes in London's underground have evolved into a separate species that feeds on humans instead of birds and breeds, year-round in the warm tunnels. But here's the mind-bending part. This isn't just happening to other species. Humans are evolving too, just not in ways you might expect. Recent genetic studies by evolutionary biologist Gregory Cochrane have found that human evolution has actually accelerated since the development of agriculture, with genetic changes happening 100 times faster than during most of human prehistory. We're evolving lactose tolerance in populations that never had dairy animals. We're evolving resistance to malaria in regions where agriculture created breeding grounds for mosquitoes. We're even evolving different digestive systems in populations with different agricultural traditions. The Inuit have genetic adaptations for processing fat and protein that developed within the last few thousand years. Here's the revelation that changes everything. The modern world isn't separate from natural evolution. It's the latest chapter in the same story that began when the asteroid killed the dinosaurs. The same principles that created woolly mammoths and saber-toothed cats are creating antibiotic-resistant bacteria and climate-adapted crops. What if I told you that cities are the modern equivalent of Ice Age refugia, isolated environments where evolution happens rapidly in response to extreme conditions? Urban environments are so different from natural environments that they're essentially alien worlds. And life is evolving to fill these new niches, just like it filled post-dinosaur. Niches 66 million years ago. But here's the twist that makes this personal. You are a product of this modern evolutionary acceleration. The lifestyle you live, the foods you can digest, the diseases you're resistant to, and even the way your brain processes information have all been shaped by evolutionary pressures that began accelerating with the development of agriculture and urbanization. Think of it like this. Your ancestors, who lived through the transition from hunting and gathering to agriculture, experienced evolutionary pressure comparable to the Ice Age transitions that shaped woolly mammoths and cave bears. The difference is that cultural evolution allowed humans to adapt through technology and behavior change much faster than genetic evolution alone. Here's what will blow your mind. We're not just living through a modern ice age. We're actively managing it. The climate changes we're creating aren't accidental byproducts of civilization. They're the inevitable result of a species that evolved to be ecosystem engineers, finally scaling up to planetary management. But unlike previous ice age cycles that were driven by orbital mechanics and solar variations, this cycle is driven by consciousness. For the first time in Earth's history, a species is aware of its impact on planetary systems and can make deliberate choices about climate management. Here's the mind-bending part. The current environmental crisis isn't a sign that humans are bad at environmental management. It's a sign that we're learning to manage systems we've never had to manage before. We're like teenagers who suddenly grew to adult size overnight. We have the power to reshape our environment, but we're still learning how to use that power responsibly. The same evolutionary intelligence that helped our ancestors survive ice ages is now being applied to managing planetary climate, biodiversity, and resource flows. We're not separate from the natural world. We're evolution's latest experiment in environmental control, and the results are still being determined. Here's what will blow your mind about the post-dinosaur era. It wasn't just creating bigger, stronger, or more specialized creatures. It was running a 66 million year experiment in intelligence. And we are the result of that experiment entering its exponential phase. What if I told you that the development of human civilization isn't separate from natural evolution, but represents the moment when evolution itself became conscious and began directing its own process? This isn't philosophy. It's the logical conclusion of evolutionary trends that began immediately after the dinosaurs vanished. Let me introduce you to research by cognitive scientist Merlin Donald that reveals something mind-bending about human intelligence. We didn't just evolve bigger brains. We evolved the ability to externalize our thinking through tools, symbols, and technology. Our intelligence isn't contained within our skulls. It's distributed across our entire technological ecosystem. Think of it like this. When you use a smartphone to navigate, calculate, or remember information, you're not using technology as a separate tool. You're extending your cognitive abilities beyond your biological limits. Your smartphone is as much a part of your intelligence as your hippocampus is. We've evolved into cyborgs without realizing it. Here's the revelation that changes everything. This external intelligence isn't a recent development. Humans have been outsourcing cognitive tasks to technology for tens of thousands of years. Cave paintings were external memory systems. Writing was external information storage. Mathematics was external logical processing. We've been evolving hybrid biological technological intelligence since the beginning of human civilization. But here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. This process is accelerating exponentially. Artificial intelligence researcher Ray Kurzweil analyzed the rate of technological development and found that we're approaching what he calls the singularity, the point where artificial intelligence equals and then surpasses human intelligence. What? If I told you that this isn't humanity being replaced by machines, but humanity completing its evolution into a hybrid biological technological intelligence system? The same evolutionary pressures that created our large brains are now creating artificial intelligences that complement and enhance our biological capabilities. Here's what will blow your mind. We might be witnessing the birth of Earth's first, truly planetary intelligence. Just as individual neurons connect to form brains, and individual brains connect to form societies, human societies connected by global communication networks might be forming something unprecedented, a planet-scale thinking system. Consider this. Global financial markets process information and make decisions faster than any human can follow. Climate monitoring systems track planetary conditions in real time and predict future changes. Social media networks spread information and coordinate behavior across billions of people simultaneously. These aren't just human tools. They're components of an emerging global intelligence. But here's the mind-bending part. This planetary intelligence is applying the same problem-solving approach that helped mammals survive post-dinosaur climate chaos. It's developing redundancy, backup systems, adaptability, rapid response to changing conditions, and predictive capabilities, modeling future scenarios. Evolutionary biologist Peter Corning calls this synergistic selection, evolution favoring cooperation and integration over competition and isolation. The creatures that survived post-dinosaur extinctions weren't just individually intelligent, they were collectively intelligent. They formed social groups, communication networks, and cooperative systems that made the whole more capable than the sum of its parts. Here's the revelation that makes this personal. You are both a product and a component of this intelligence explosion. Your individual consciousness is shaped by collective human knowledge accumulated over millennia. But more than that, your thoughts and decisions influence global information, networks that shape collective human behavior. When you search for information online, you're not just accessing external knowledge, you're contributing to global learning systems that become smarter with each interaction. When you share ideas on social media, you're participating in collective problem-solving on a planetary scale. When you make economic decisions, you're contributing to global optimization systems that allocate resources more efficiently than any central planner could. Think of it like this. You're simultaneously an individual organism, a neuron in a global brain, and an evolutionary agent shaping the future of intelligence itself. The same DNA that carries genetic instructions for building your body also carries the information that drives technological innovation and cultural evolution. Here's what will blow your mind. The intelligence explosion we're experiencing isn't just about creating smarter machines. It's about evolution figuring out how to bootstrap itself to higher levels of complexity and capability. We're not just users of technology. We're evolution's way of becoming conscious and deliberate about its own process. Here's what will blow your mind about everything we've discovered in this journey. The creatures that survived the post-dinosaur world didn't just get lucky. They followed a specific survival blueprint that's been tested by 66 million years of climate chaos, extinction events, and evolutionary pressure. And here's the mind-bending part. You can apply this same blueprint to navigate the challenges in your own life. What if I told you that the same strategies that helped mammals survive ice ages, predator pressures, and environmental catastrophes are the exact strategies that help humans thrive in modern uncertainty? This isn't a metaphor. It's a direct evolutionary inheritance that's literally programmed into your DNA. Let me break down the survival blueprint that emerges from our journey through post-dinosaur evolution. First principle, adaptability over optimization. Every species that survived multiple extinction events was a generalist rather than a specialist. They maintained flexibility rather than maximizing efficiency for specific conditions. Think of it like this. Saber-toothed cats were perfectly optimized for killing large, thick-skinned prey. When those prey species went extinct, The saber-toothed cats had no backup plan. But wolves, with their more generalized hunting abilities, could switch between small prey, large prey, scavenging, and even plant eating when necessary. Wolves survived. Saber-toothed cats didn't. Here's how this applies to your life. In rapidly changing environments, being adaptable is more valuable than being perfectly optimized for current conditions. The skills, career strategies, and life approaches that work best are those that remain useful across a wide range of scenarios, rather than being perfectly tuned to today's specific circumstances. Second principle, collective intelligence over individual capability. Every major evolutionary success story in the post-dinosaur world involved social cooperation and information sharing. Pack hunting, flocking behavior, and collective problem-solving consistently outperformed individual optimization. Behavioral. Ecologist Robin Dunbar discovered that the most successful mammalian species tend to have larger social groups and more complex communication systems. They don't just share resources, they share knowledge, skills, and decision-making processes. Here's what this means for you. Your success isn't just about individual intelligence or capability. It's about your ability to connect with others, share information, learn from collective knowledge, and contribute to group problem-solving. The humans who thrived throughout history weren't necessarily the smartest individuals. They were the best at leveraging collective intelligence. Third principle, environmental awareness over environmental control. The species that survived climate chaos weren't those that tried to resist change, but those that learned to read environmental signals and respond quickly to shifting conditions. But unlike previous ice age cycles that were driven by orbital mechanics and solar variations, this cycle is driven by consciousness. For the first time in Earth's history, a species is aware of its impact on planetary systems and can make deliberate choices about climate management. Here's the mind-bending part. The current environmental crisis isn't a sign that humans are bad at environmental management. It's a sign that we're learning to manage systems we've never had to manage before. We're like teenagers who suddenly grew to adult size overnight. We have the power to reshape our environment, but we're still learning how to use that power responsibly. The same evolutionary intelligence that helped our ancestors survive ice ages is now being applied to managing planetary climate, biodiversity, and resource flows. We're not separate from the natural world. We're evolution's latest experiment in environmental control, and the results are still being determined. Here's what will blow your mind about the post-dinosaur era. It wasn't just creating bigger, stronger, or more specialized creatures. It was running a 66 million year experiment in intelligence. And we are the result of that experiment entering its exponential phase. What if I told you that the development of human civilization isn't separate from natural evolution, but represents the moment when evolution itself became conscious and began directing its own process? This isn't philosophy. It's the logical conclusion of evolutionary trends that began immediately after the dinosaurs vanished. Let me introduce you to research by cognitive scientist Merlin Donald that reveals something mind-bending about human intelligence. We didn't just evolve bigger brains. We evolved the ability to externalize our thinking through tools, symbols, and technology. Our intelligence isn't contained within our skulls. It's distributed across our entire technological ecosystem. Think of it like this. When you use a smartphone to navigate, calculate, or remember information, you're not using technology as a separate tool. You're extending your cognitive abilities beyond your biological limits. Your smartphone is as much a part of your intelligence as your hippocampus is. We've evolved into cyborgs without realizing it. Here's the revelation that changes everything. This external intelligence isn't a recent development. Humans have been outsourcing cognitive tasks to technology for tens of thousands of years. Cave paintings were external memory systems. Writing was external information storage. Mathematics was external logical processing. We've been evolving. Hybrid biological technological intelligence since the beginning of human civilization. But here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. This process is accelerating exponentially. Artificial intelligence researcher Ray Kurzweil analyzed the rate of technological development and found that we're approaching what he calls the singularity, the point where artificial intelligence equals and then surpasses human intelligence. What? If I told you that this isn't humanity being replaced by machines, but humanity completing its evolution into a hybrid biological technological intelligence system? The same evolutionary pressures that created our large brains are now creating artificial intelligences that complement and enhance our biological capabilities. Here's what will blow your mind. We might be witnessing the birth of Earth's first, truly planetary intelligence. Just as individual neurons connect to form brains, and individual brains connect to form societies, human societies connected by global communication networks might be forming something unprecedented, a planet-scale thinking system. Consider this. Global financial markets process information and make decisions faster than any human can follow. Climate monitoring systems track planetary conditions in real time and predict future changes. Social media networks spread information and coordinate behavior across billions of people simultaneously. These aren't just human tools. They're components of an emerging global intelligence. But here's the mind-bending part. This planetary intelligence is applying the same problem-solving approach that helped mammals survive post-dinosaur climate chaos. It's developing redundancy, backup systems, adaptability, rapid response to changing conditions, and predictive capabilities, modeling future scenarios. Evolutionary biologist Peter Corning calls this synergistic selection, evolution favoring cooperation and integration over competition and isolation. The creatures that survived post-dinosaur extinctions weren't just individually intelligent. They were collectively intelligent. They formed social groups, communication networks, and cooperative systems that made the whole more capable than the sum of its parts. Here's the revelation that makes this personal. You are both a product and a component of this intelligence explosion. Your individual consciousness is shaped by collective human knowledge accumulated over millennia. But more than that, your thoughts and decisions influence global information, networks that shape collective human behavior. When you search for information online, you're not just accessing external knowledge, you're contributing to global learning systems that become smarter with each interaction. When you share ideas on social media, you're participating in collective problem-solving on a planetary scale. When you make economic decisions, you're contributing to global optimization systems that allocate resources more efficiently than any central planner could. Think of it like this. You're simultaneously an individual organism, a neuron in a global brain, and an evolutionary agent shaping the future of intelligence itself. The same DNA that carries genetic instructions for building your body also carries the information that drives technological innovation and cultural evolution. Here's what will blow your mind. The intelligence explosion we're experiencing isn't just about creating smarter machines. It's about evolution figuring out how to bootstrap itself to higher levels of complexity and capability. We're not just users of technology. We're evolution's way of becoming conscious and deliberate about its own process. Here's what will blow your mind about everything we've discovered in this journey. The creatures that survived the post-dinosaur world didn't just get lucky. They followed a specific survival blueprint that's been tested by 66 million years of climate chaos, extinction events, and evolutionary pressure. And here's the mind-bending part. You can apply this same blueprint to navigate the challenges in your own life. What if I told you that the same strategies that helped mammals survive ice ages, predator pressures, and environmental catastrophes are the exact strategies that help humans thrive in modern uncertainty. This isn't a metaphor. It's a direct evolutionary inheritance that's literally programmed into your DNA. Let me break down the survival blueprint that emerges from our journey through post-dinosaur evolution. First principle: adaptability over optimization. Every species that survived multiple extinction events was a generalist rather than a specialist. They maintained flexibility rather than maximizing efficiency for specific conditions. Think of it like this: saber-toothed cats were perfectly optimized for killing large, thick-skinned prey. When those prey species went extinct, the saber-toothed cats had no backup plan. But wolves, with their more generalized hunting abilities, could switch between small prey, large prey, scavenging, and even plant eating when necessary. Wolves survived. Saber-toothed cats didn't. Here's how this applies to your life. In rapidly changing environments, being adaptable is more valuable than being perfectly optimized for current conditions. The skills, career strategies, and life approaches that work best are those that remain useful across a wide range of scenarios, rather than being perfectly tuned to today's specific circumstances. Second principle: collective intelligence over individual capability. Every major evolutionary success story in the post-dinosaur world involved social cooperation and information sharing. Pack hunting, flocking behavior, and collective problem-solving consistently outperformed individual optimization. Behavioral. Ecologist Robin Dunbar discovered that the most successful mammalian species tend to have larger social groups and more complex communication systems. They don't just share resources, they share knowledge, skills, and decision-making processes. Here's what this means for you. Your success isn't just about individual intelligence or capability. It's about your ability to connect with others, share information, learn from collective knowledge, and contribute to group problem-solving. The humans who thrived throughout history weren't necessarily the smartest individuals. They were the best at leveraging collective intelligence. Third principle: environmental awareness over environmental control. The species that survived climate chaos weren't those that tried to resist change, but those that learned to read environmental signals and respond quickly to shifting conditions. Here's the revelation that changes everything about how you see your place in the world. You carry the genetic inheritance of every species that survived every extinction event in the post-dinosaur era. Your DNA contains instructions not just for building your body, but for surviving in unstable environments, cooperating with others, and adapting to rapid change. But here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. You're not just carrying this inheritance, you're actively using it to shape the future. Every time you learn a new skill, you're participating in the same process that helped mammals diversify after the dinosaurs. Every time you cooperate with others to solve problems, you're expressing the collective intelligence that made wolves and early humans so successful. When you use technology to extend your capabilities, GPS for navigation, internet for information, social media for communication, you're continuing the same externalization of intelligence that began when early humans started using tools. You're not becoming less human by integrating with technology. You're becoming more human by expressing your evolutionary inheritance. Here's what will blow your mind about your role in this story: the same creativity that drives your personal growth and problem-solving is the force that's driving evolution itself. When you adapt to new challenges, learn from failure, and develop new approaches to life, you're participating in the creative process that has been shaping life on Earth for 66 million years. Your struggles with uncertainty, change, and complexity aren't obstacles to overcome, they're evolutionary training. Every time you successfully navigate a difficult situation, you're strengthening the same capabilities that helped life survive and thrive through ice ages, climate shifts, and mass extinctions. Think of it like this. Your personal development isn't separate from evolution. It is evolution. The same process that transformed tiny mammals hiding from dinosaurs into wolves, elephants, and humans is operating in your life every day as you adapt, learn, and grow. Here's the mind-bending part. Your individual choices have evolutionary significance. The career you choose, the relationships you build, the problems you solve, and the values you embody are all contributing to humanity's evolutionary trajectory. You're not just living your life, you're participating in the continuation of the greatest success story in natural history. But unlike every other species in the post-dinosaur era, you have conscious awareness of this process. You can deliberately apply evolutionary principles to your life. You can choose adaptability over rigid planning. You can seek diverse experiences over narrow specialization. You can build collaborative relationships over purely competitive ones. Here's the revelation that makes this empowering rather than overwhelming. You don't have to figure this out alone. You're part of a species that evolved collective intelligence as its primary survival strategy. The same networks of cooperation that helped early humans survive ice ages are available to you today through communities, mentorship, collaboration, and shared knowledge. Your personal success isn't just about individual achievement. It's about contributing to the collective intelligence that will shape humanity's future. When you solve problems, create value, or help others, you're adding to the same pool of accumulated knowledge and capability that helped our species survive and thrive for hundreds of thousands of years. You are simultaneously the product of 66 million years of successful evolution and an active agent shaping the next phase of that evolution. The post-dinosaur world didn't end with the Ice Age. It's continuing through you. Right now, every day. As we reach the end of this incredible journey through 66 million years of life after dinosaurs, here's the most mind-blowing revelation of all. This story isn't ending. It's just beginning its most exciting chapter. And you are the protagonist. Every Ice Age survival, every evolutionary innovation, every adaptation that we've explored was preparing Earth for this moment. And evolution itself becomes conscious and deliberate. You carry within your DNA the wisdom of every creature that survived every extinction, every climate change, and every impossible challenge since the dinosaurs vanished. The woolly mammoth's cold adaptation, the saber-toothed cat's precision hunting, the early primates' problem-solving intelligence, and the wolf's pack cooperation. All of these survival strategies live within you, ready to be expressed as you navigate the challenges and opportunities of your own life. You are not separate from this epic story of survival and innovation. You are its culmination and its continuation. The same creativity that transformed a post-apocalyptic world into an explosion of life is operating through your dreams, your struggles, and your daily choices. The future is not something that happens to you. It's something you're actively creating by expressing your evolutionary inheritance of adaptability, intelligence, and cooperation. You are evolution's latest experiment in conscious creativity, and the results are still being written. Welcome to your role as a conscious participant in the greatest story ever told, the story of life becoming aware of itself and taking deliberate control of its own destiny. The post-dinosaur world prepared the stage. Now it's your turn to perform. If this journey has blown your mind half as much as it's blown mine, hit that subscribe button and join the thousands of others who are discovering their place in evolution's greatest story. The adventure is just beginning, and you are the main character.